In today's episode, we'll take you to the beautiful islands of Ugljan, Pašman, and Dugi Otok. But first, we'll explore the nautical center of the Adriatic, the royal city of Biograd. In the very center of the Adriatic coast lies the city of Biograd na Moru. Once the coronation city of Croatian kings, today a famous tourist and nautical center of the Adriatic coast. Biograd lies on a peninsula surrounded by modern marinas, hotels, and resorts, with a view across the Pašman Channel to the islets that are a real paradise for many sailors. Thanks to its excellent geographical position, it is an ideal starting point for trips to the numerous national parks and nature parks that surround it. Let's just mention the national parks of Plitvice Lakes, North Velebit, and Paklenica on the north side, then the Krka National Park in the immediate vicinity, and the beautiful Kornati, which are a real miracle of nature. It is surrounded by the historic cities of Zadar, Nin, and Šibenik, and is, in fact, an ideal place for a holiday, both for those who prefer to settle down in one place and be carefree for weeks, enjoying all that a Croatian destination offers, as well as for those with an adventurous spirit who like to explore the near and far surroundings, precisely because of the many attractions and points of interest nearby. Fans of sports and recreation will be extremely satisfied with the offer of Biograd and its surroundings. In the pine forest, a 10-minute walk from the city center, there are well-kept tennis courts with night lighting and several types of surfaces. There are beach volleyball courts inside Soline Camp. You can take numerous cycling routes to the nearby Vrana Lake Nature Park, Pašman, or the nearby town of St. Philip and Jakov. Biograd na Moru is a Croatian royal city that was first mentioned in the middle of the 10th century, while in the 11th century was the seat of Croatian kings and bishops. The panorama of the city is dominated by the bell tower of the Church of St. Stošija from the 18th century. Nearby are the remains of the Basilica of St. John the Evangelist. It was a Benedictine monastery built in the 11th century by the Croatian king Petar Krešimir IV. In the 12th century, during the conquest of Biograd, the Venetians demolished the monastery almost to the ground, and the monks escaped to Šibenik and later to the island of Pašman. By all accounts, Biograd is the real center of nautical tourism in the Adriatic. In as many as 3 marinas, more than 1,000 moorings are offered for vessels of all types and sizes. The largest marina is Kornati, which, with its 750 berths, is one of the largest on the Adriatic. As part of the marina, parking is provided as well as numerous accompanying facilities that will satisfy all boaters. For more advanced sailors, numerous regattas and competitions are held in Biograd throughout the year. The largest nautical fair in Croatia, the Biograd Boat Show, is held here every year in October. Lovers of good food will find something for themselves in numerous restaurants that offer fresh fish specialties.
and we visited our favorite, which surprises us again and again with excellent delicacies. It was the same this time around. You'll certainly not go wrong if you choose Biograd for your sailing starting point and gastronomic adventure.
Sukošan is a small town located in the spacious Zlatna Luka Bay along the Adriatic Road, 7 kilometers southeast of Zadar. The economic basis is tourism, agriculture, viticulture, olive growing, and fruit growing. The beauty of Sukošan Bay and the mildness of its climate is best evidenced by the summer residents of the Zadar Archdiocese. Palac, built on an artificially filled islet in the middle of the bay at the end of the 15th century. It is here that church dignitaries spent their summers. Today, only its modest remains are a reminder of its former grandeur. Between Sukošan and the nearby town of Bibinje, there is the largest marina in Croatia with 1,200 berths. This is especially useful information for boaters sailing in this area. Bibinje is a lively Mediterranean town that stretches over 4 kilometers of the Adriatic coast, with about 4,000 inhabitants. From the promenade of Talina to the square of Sri Sela, restaurants, taverns, and small bars abound, while the whole summer is dotted with events, folklore evenings, parties, and concerts. The Adriatic Sea and the unique indented coast are undoubtedly the main reasons why Croatia is one of the most ideal sailing destinations for many world sailors, both as a perfect vacation and a top sporting challenge.
Being largest chain of the marinas in the Med is giving us great opportunity to show the beauty of Croatia. We have 22 marinas, and so the 23rd one strategically allocated from the north to the south of Croatia, starting Umag on the north and Dubrovnik on the south. It's really a pleasure to run such a beauty of marinas which are on a world-class standard, which give us everything that you need in a marina. Besides beautiful marinas, as I said, strategically allocated within the destinations and the cities, we have another product as AC Sail. It's a fleet of 6 Club Swan 36 boats that we have at your disposal in our marinas to enjoy the beauty of the sail in Croatia.
A world-class sailing experience, regardless of previous experience, AC Sail is for all lovers of the sea and sailing, and provides a unique sailing service at the highest level. The special feature of this project is a partnership with the Finnish company Nautor Swan, the manufacturer of the world's most progressive vessels for sports sailing. AC Sail currently has the world's largest fleet of 6 elite Club Swan 36 sailboats, which are located in AC Marina Split. Also established as part of this exclusive partnership is the AC Sail Club Swan 36 Training Center, the first and only institution for learning and training on these top sailboats in the whole world. A crew of Olympic sailors led by 3-time European champion Ivan Kljaković-Gašpić is in charge of an impressive fleet, as well as the superb experience for all ATI Sail clients. At ATI Sail, everyone interested, from beginners on a boat for the first time to seasoned experts, has the opportunity to acquire the skills necessary to successfully sail the world's best vessels, such as the Club Swan 36.
Having 22 marinas, of course, we have to invest on a, I would say, monthly and a daily basis to satisfy all your needs. So we did, in last 12 months, we did huge investments in Dubrovnik and Korčula, giving new power availability to all of you, and other investments that we did in that area. A couple million of euros that we invest in the area. So hopefully you're gonna enjoy the Croatia, you're gonna still enjoy ATI Marinas, and welcome to Croatia.
We are going to laugh up. We do the opposite thing from bearing away. We are going with the boat closer to the wind, and we are tightening the sails. Okay, let's start. First I will tighten the front sail. If you have someone on the boat who can help you, the best thing is to do it in the same time. Both front sail and main sail. Now we will tighten the main sail. As we can see, front part of the main sail is flapping. That tells us that we are too much away from the wind, or that we have to tighten the sail. Okay, that's done. We are closer to the wind and the sails are tighter.
The island of Ugljan is one of the most picturesque islands in the Zadar archipelago and is located west of the city of Zadar. The coast around Ugljan is very shallow and sandy, so sailors sailing on boats with a larger draft should be careful about the depth. It's not uncommon for sailboats to run aground on a sandy bottom. Kali is a wildly known fishing village. Two harbors full of fishing boats and fishermen bending nets on the jetties give it a special charm. Preko is the traffic and administrative center of the island and is located directly opposite Zadar. With its interesting typical Dalmatian architecture and many rural patrician houses, it offers a real Mediterranean atmosphere. On the hill above the city is the fortress of St. Mihovil, a Venetian fortress from the 13th century. On the nearby islet of Galevac, there is the monastery of St. Pavle the Hermit from the 15th century. Poljana is a small, tame place with a large number of sunny hours and water wells that are the reason why this place produces vegetables that are supplied to Zadar's markets in both summer and winter. Ugljan is the largest place on the island in terms of space. Smaller yachts can dock along the inner side of the breakwater, and the anchorage for larger ships is southeast of the port. There are more than 200,000 olive trees on the island of Ugljan, and in the town of Ugljan itself, in the village of Muline, there are the remains of an ancient oil mill from the 2nd century, as proof of 2,000 years of olive growing and olive oil production on the island. There's also a legend about the famous Liburnian oil, which was said to be produced in this area. Almost every household is engaged in olive growing, so Ugljan is an ideal place for tasting local olive oil. Ugljan and Pašman are two islands connected by a bridge in the town of Ždrelac. This bridge is also a great danger for careless sailors who often neglect the height of their masts in relation to the bridge. Another natural phenomenon should be highlighted, namely the sudden change in sea currents that can reach speeds of up to 5 knots under the bridge. On the hill above Pašman is the last Benedictine monastery in Croatia. In 1059, Bishop Teodorik of Biograd built the monastery of St. Kuzma and Damjan on the foundations of an earlier Byzantine fortress and an early Christian church. Fortified by strong walls overlooking the area of Kotar and Vrana to Dinara and Velebit, lined with conifers, in an oasis of peace and prayer, it will inspire every visitor. Dugi Otok, or in English, Long Island, got its name primarily due to its unusual shape. We are sure that the island was not named after the famous cocktail because Long Island iced tea was first prepared in 1972 on Long Island in the state of New York. This Croatian Long Island, or Dugi Otok, is 45 kilometers long and only about 4 kilometers wide. It is the largest island in the Zadar archipelago. Given that it is the most prominent island of the archipelago and its entire western side is exposed to the open sea and waves, nature played its part and created very interesting landscapes. The island abounds in natural diversity. High, steep cliffs on the southern side that descend steeply into the sea to a depth of 90 meters, and to large sandy coves on the northern side of the island. Due to its location and proximity to the open sea, the inhabitants have been engaged in fishing since ancient times. The first written record of it dates back to the 10th century. The center of fishing developed in the village of Sali, where a fish canning factory has been operating since 1905. Today, this small, picturesque place is primarily focused on tourism. In Sali, boaters will find a safe harbor and mooring with water and electricity connections, and they can stock up at the store and find other services. In the Salsko Polje olive grove, there are olive trees up to 700 years old, which together with the size of the trees represents a unique ecological zone in this area. The local population call the olive grove olive forest, and it is assumed that the ancient Greeks, who had estates on the island, planted it. The other meticulously cultivated olive groves, bordered by neat stone walls, show that people from Sali are still hard-working olive growers. On the southwestern part of the island, there is the largest and safest natural harbor in the Adriatic, Telaščica Bay. Due to its exceptional natural beauty and abundance of plant and animal life, this area was declared a nature park in 1988. The area of Telaščica Nature Park is an area rich in contrasts. Quiet and peaceful beaches and a flat coast on one side and wild, steep cliffs on the other. An area of forests of Aleppo pine and holm oak on one side and bare rocks on the other. An area of cultivated fields covered with vineyards and olive groves, but also an area of degraded forms of vegetation covering dry habitats. Three fundamental phenomena represent the basic characteristics of this area. The unique bay of Telaščica as the safest, most beautiful, and largest natural harbor in the Adriatic Sea, where there are 25 small beaches. The cliffs of the island of Dugi Otok, or the so-called rocks, which rise up to 161 meters above the sea and descend to a depth of up to 90 meters. And finally, the salt lake Mir with healing properties.
In the surroundings, there are beautifully cultivated meadows, and on the hills, rich Mediterranean vegetation with about 500 plant species and equally rich fauna. The underwater world has over 300 plant and 300 animal species. On the northwest coast of Dugi Otok is one of the most beautiful sandy beaches of the entire Adriatic. It is over 800 meters long, and the pearly white sand and the warm turquoise shallow water simply beckon to swim and enjoy. The underwater world is rich in meadows of Posidonia, a type of Mediterranean seaweed, and numerous other plant species. Since the bay is open to the south, large waves bring to the shore the remains of plants from the seabed, so there can be large amounts of seaweed on the shore. Sakharun Bay became a member of the Most Beautiful Bays in the World Club, which comprises bays from 25 countries from all continents. Another beautiful bay is located in the immediate vicinity, Soliščica Bay near the town of Soline. It is open to the northeast and thus exposed to strong storm surges, but the color of the sea is simply beautiful. These coves are a favorite overnight stop for many sailors. You just need to follow the weather forecast and properly assess from which side the danger is coming and anchor in the right place. One of the most beautiful lighthouses in the Adriatic is located on the extreme northwestern part of Dugi Otok. Cape Velirat or Punta Bianca Lighthouse. The lighthouse is surrounded by dense pine forest, beautiful bays, and pebble beaches. The reliable and safe operation of the lighthouse is ensured by the lighthouse keeper who lives and works here together with his family. The lighthouse was built in 1849 during the Austro-Hungarian Empire, which built almost all of the lighthouses on the Adriatic. This lighthouse is 170 years old. It is 36 meters high and 42 meters above sea level. An interesting fact is that 100,000 eggs were mixed into the plaster, and this mixture gives the lighthouse its characteristic yellow color. The plaster has never been repaired or renewed, despite the conditions near the sea. Lately, because of our busy and stressful lifestyle, the thought of escaping from civilization and a real Robinsonian vacation has become more and more interesting to people, and lonely lighthouses are the ideal place for that. Unfortunately, that's all for today's show. When it's this interesting, the end comes quickly. But don't worry, in the next episode, we'll take you to even more interesting destinations and the islands of the Zadar region. And yes, about bananas. An old sailor's superstition says that bananas on board bring bad luck. But here's one for good luck. May the dolphins follow your ship.